Okay, we are going to begin with our first speaker. Please help me welcome Emily Taylor. You're every woman in the world. You're every woman in the world. Emily Taylor.
You're every woman in the world to me. You're every woman in the world to me. Contest chair, Toastmasters, honored guest. Have you ever been mistaken as belonging to a different ethnicity? I have, so many times, that my husband Stephen would often say, Emily, you're every woman in the world to me. Scene one. Years ago, when I first moved to Portland, Oregon, I went to the Fred Meyer seafood section. The fish guy asked if I were Hawaiian. In the beginning, I would politely say no and go on with my business. One afternoon, after being asked for whether I'm from Hawaii for the uptime time, I finally decided to play along and said, yes, I am. I thought my response would put the mystery of my origination to rest. Not at all. My response opened a Pandora box. Next came the question, where I'm from Hawaii too. Deeper spiraling down the rabbit hole of table topics of made-up stories came the next question. Where in Hawaii? Like a fly stuck in a spider web, I became more and more entangled in the game show to tell the truth. After all, I had never been to Hawaii at that time. Then came the follow-up questions. What school I attended? What's my favorite place? Favorite restaurant? Why did I not stay and become an oceanographer and save the whales? I felt I was going through customs at Heathrow Airport. All I wanted was 2 pounds of salmon and 1.5 pounds of shrimp. Lesson learned, never lie. Scene 2. This takes us to my chance encounter with my old Samoan boyfriend. Stephen and I were at Portland International Airport looking for our departure gate. As we were walking, Stephen was following me 10 paces behind. I spied 30 feet away, smiling so big. I ignored him. I figured he was smiling at someone else. I looked around and looked around. Friends, the huge smile was for me. When he finally approached, he started speaking in a language I couldn't understand. I figured he was mistaking me for his sister, distant cousin perhaps, an old girlfriend. After his long verbal display, I had to politely say, I am so sorry, I don't understand you. He really thought I was from Samoa, he admitted. I was indeed flattered by his enthusiasm. I suppose I look like a Samoan beauty. I could have let him take me to lunch before we boarded the plane and break the news that I'm not from Samoa or I don't speak Samoan. More likely though, he would have not paid for my husband's lunch. The message here, the human longing to belong to a community or tribe prevails. We seek familiarity and home in our global community. Scene 3. The third of many mistaken incidents happened in downtown Portland. Stephen and I were attending a conference more likely on how to become millionaires in real estate investing or some other deals he would drag me to. As we were walking looking for our conference room, a group of people approached me and started speaking in a language I perceived to be Native American. I'm not Native American. I suppose if I were born here, I could have said I'm Native of America. They asked me the second time in English where their conference room was. I had to apologize and tell them that I did not understand them at first. They were so let down, for they thought they found a new friend and participant. I suppose I looked somewhat like Native American, as this was not the first time I was mistaken for such. He might say, Emily, you do look like Hawaiian, you do look like Samoan, you do look like Native American. It's not a mistake. You were born in the Pacific Rim and on planet Earth. Scene 4. This finally takes me to my experience many years ago while living in Minnesota. I had to take on a part-time job working for a large corporation helping clients from all over the country. One day I got a call from this guy from New York City. After 20 minutes, problem solved. Then he asked me where I was from because of my accent. I asked him where he thought my accent originates from. After a pause, he enthusiastically said, Norwegian! He nailed it! In this case, here I was thought of as a Norwegian with blonde hair and blue eyes. I finally broke the barrier to the Pacific Rim origination. I replied, you betcha, for sure. In all of these experiences, what is the takeaway here? That perhaps there's no singular physical attribute that belongs to one race or another. With my brown skin, black hair, dark brown eyes, I could belong anywhere in Asia, Latin America, Pacific Islands, North America, and even from Tibet. I think we have a need to be part of a tribe or community when we move around so much in our world. I believe we have a longing to belong, that even on the phone, when we put out a smile, the other people want to become part of our tribe, so to speak. The other message, don't throw it away by being someone you're not. Be genuine. Be proud of where you come from. Avoid rabbit holes or get stuck in game shows. Some you can never see the bottom of them. For me, I have embraced being. You're every woman in the world to me. Cottage chair, Toastmaster.
Please help me welcome speaker number 2, Bryce Toohey, Grandma's Cookies. Grandma's Cookies, Bryce Toohey.
My grandma was, and still is, a constant fixture in my life. She sends cards on every occasion, themed packages for every holiday. The only thing I ever get from her is love. When I think about Christmas, I think about Grandma's house. We would go there every year for Christmas. They were the same thing to me. One of the favorite things going to Grandma's house was that she always had these amazing treats that she'd lay out for Christmas, and we would eat them while we opened gifts. There were meatballs, there was shortbread, a quiche, but on top of them all were the peanut butter cookies. They were crunchy, chewy, and the peanut butter flavor paired so perfectly with that little sprinkle of salt on the top. They were little puffs of heaven. These cookies had always been there before I got to Grandma's house. I'd show up and they were laid out beautifully, the centerpiece among the other snacks. It was always a mystery to me how they got made. I figured that there was a secret recipe card written on a piece of parchment paper, faded dark brown from the years, with flowing cursive script ringing across it, showing how to make these delicious, secret, amazing peanut butter cookies. A few years ago, we got to Grandma's house a couple days early. And guess what? The peanut butter cookies were not there. I was kind of excited. And then it happened. Grandma hobbled over to me and said, Bryce, will you help me make the peanut butter cookies? Inside, I was jumping up and down. Yes, I get to learn about the peanut butter cookies. But on the outside, I was calm. I said, yes, Grandma, of course. I would love to help you make the peanut butter cookies. She shuffled out. And then she came back in, and I was waiting for her. I was waiting for her to hand over that little scrap of paper with the cursive writing on it from 1900 or however long ago this recipe originally originated from. She lifted her arms to hand me something, but it was not a scrap of paper. It was a bag of Betty Crocker ready mix cookie dust. Decades of peanut butter cookie lore was erased in front of my eyes. My jaw was on the ground as I held the packet limply in my hand. Now, of course, Grandma was unfazed by any of this. And all she said was, just follow the directions on the back, and shuffled away. If her peanut butter cookies were fake, what else was fake? Was the quiche fake? The meatballs? What other holiday things might I be misled about? I mean, surely the Easter Bunny's real, and the Tooth Fairy's definitely a real person, but if her cookies are real, Santa? Fellow Toastmasters, my call to action for you today is to be suspicious of your grandmother. I want you to confront your grandmothers. Weed out the lies and the subterfuge that they use to peddle their sweet treats. Every Christmas since then, I've gone to Grandma's house. The cookies have been there, so is the quiche, and the meatballs. I see them, I start scrutinizing the meatballs, inspecting the shortbread, and side-eyeing the quiche. Fellow Toastmasters, I want you to be suspicious of your grandmothers. If mine can lie, so can yours.
Please help me welcome our third speaker, Colin McKechnie. One day at a time. One day at a time. Colin McKechnie.
December the 17th was a typical winter's morning. Dark and damp and cold. And I rolled over in bed and looked at the time, 7 a.m., smiled and cuddled back down into the warmth. Mr. Contest, Toastmaster, this was highly unusual. My alarm normally goes off at 5:49 to get me to work on time. But this morning, I had a doctor's appointment for my yearly medical checkup. And as I went up the steps to his office, I thought, I hope he's not going to give me that same old advice this year. Colin, drink less red wine and eat more green vegetables. Folks, I love my 2 glasses of red wine every day, and I hate boiled cabbage and spinach. It might be okay for Popeye, but not for this guy. He started doing all the usual tests, and then he started taking blood and putting it in vials, and putting it in vials, and putting it in vials. I thought, does he have a side gig supplying vampires? Then he asked, anything new, Colin? No, not really. Just a stupid little persistent cough. But it's no big deal. He said, let's check it out anyway. And I had to go back down the stairs for a chest x-ray. And it showed a shadow in my lungs. So then I had to go for an MRI. They got this big old syringe full of radioactive fluid, injected it throughout all my veins, and started putting me in so many poses I thought I was a candidate for next month's Playboy Centerfold. Then I had to go for a biopsy and to return in 2 days for the results. Well, when I returned, I marched into his office and with my very best cartoon character impersonation said, "What's up, Doc?" He didn't laugh or even smile. "Sit down, Colin." "Uh-oh, this is not going to be good. Colin, you have lung cancer, mesothelioma caused by asbestos exposure." I knew all about it. I'd worked with asbestos in the glass plants. But I also know it takes 20, 30, even 40 years to do its dastardly deed. So I said, "So what's prognosis, Doc? 20, 30, or 40? "Sorry, Colin." The specialist said 6 months. Six months? And then through the fog I heard, "Try to take it one day at a time." I stayed in that fog for a few days until I thought of my father in hospital at 87 years old and a young doctor lecturing him. "Mr. McKechnie, for the sake of your health, you must stop drinking." My father just gave him a big smile and said, "Laddie, I've been having 2 wee glasses of whiskey every day for the last 66 years, and I enjoy them very much. And I've also signed over all my internal organs to medical research. And pray tell, when I've gone, what are you going to put those organs in to preserve them?" Formaldehyde, right? And that's alcohol, right? "So I'm just doing your job for you ahead of time." That's when I realized my father already knew how to live life one day at a time. So I decided to use what time I had left and put it to good use. So I started going to all the local schools and teaching the kids about stress management. And at one of them, this pale-faced, skinny little girl dressed all in black approached. "I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it if you'll help me," and bared her wrist to show the scars of suicide attempts. Folks, this was little Susie. When she was 10 years old, her mother had committed suicide, and her father, in his grief and despair, had become an alcoholic, and she got shuffled from home to home to home. So of course I said I would help her. But I said, "Susie, you're going to have to learn how to live life one day at a time. And no more of this rubbish, right?" "Yes." So we started working together, and I bought her some bracelets to hide the scars. And soon she started wearing short-sleeved, colourful blouses and blossomed. 2 months later, we both received fantastic news. Little Susie was adopted by foster parents who loved her. And my doctor called me in and said, "Colin, your last biopsy showed not only is your mesothelioma not spreading, it started retreating. And I don't think that's medically possible." I said, "Doc, when you've got little Susie and the big guy upstairs on your team, nothing in this world is impossible. Nothing." So why have I shared our story with you today? Because little Susie suggested, no, she didn't. She insisted I give this speech because she said, some of you may have a family member or a friend that gets hit with a trauma. And now you know where to come for free to learn how to live life one day. Mr. Contest Toastmaster.
Please help me welcome Speaker 4, Stephanie Allen. Be you, change the world. Be you, change the world. Stephanie Allen.
I can't change the world, but I can stop letting the world change me. I don't have to be governed by the approval or disapproval of others. People pleasing? People please. That was so 2024. And for anyone who has ever uttered the phrase, you know what you should do us all a favor. Keep that should to yourselves. I can't change the world, but I can stop denying my own existence. I can recognize, acknowledge, believe, and accept that I am beautifully and wonderfully made. In all of my short hair having, no makeup wearing, comfort over fashion, scratch that. Comfort is my fashion. Sing when I'm scared, cuss when I'm angry, naturally competitive, intentionally cooperative. Glory, I can't change the world, but I can stop dimming my own shine, and I can share my gifts with others. I have this innate ability to see good in people. I am a staunch believer where there's a will, there's a way. And you better believe if you have the will, I will work tirelessly with you to find a way. And I believe autonomy is our greatest superpower. We can't help what happens to us in this world, but we dang sure can decide how we're going to show up for it. And I am so very fortunate that I get to share these gifts every day of my life, including in my work helping parents figure out how they're going to share their children. This is an email from one of those parents. Confidentiality rules don't allow me to share their name. Hi, Stephanie. I just want to reach out and tell you how things have been, and also thank you. We have reached a point of co-parenting bliss. Almost. We laugh, we bounce ideas off each other, we collaborate, and we support each other. Co-parenting was years and years of stress and anxiety. It's nice to feel like we're friends who care about each other now, that our son has both of us, and it doesn't have to feel weird for him to love both of us. Thank you so much for fostering such a calm, reasonable environment. It sounds silly, but you changed my world for the better. Thank you for your invaluable service to my little family. And this is just one example of how I changed the world. But look around this room. Us. We changed the world. Think about your own life and the impact you have on others. Think about other people in your life and the impact that they have. I am a proud card-carrying member of Capital Toastmasters. We meet inside the Oregon State Penitentiary. We're made up of 3 community members and 64 prisoners. In our club, in my club, in addition to public speaking and leadership, we learn how to engage with the world through communication. We learn how to behave in the world through communication. And we change the world. Like fellow Toastmaster and prisoner Theron Hall, who has such astounding leadership qualities that the institution itself calls on him to literally keep the peace among the gang population at the prison. Like fellow Toastmaster and prisoner Chris Longo, who has such impeccable communication skills that he was able to get enough product donated from national companies that he filled over 2,000 gift bags so that every inmate at the institution had something to open on Christmas Day. Like fellow Toastmaster and prisoner Emmanuel Tenorio, who inspired us with his award-winning speech when at the prison he said, "Old scars will no longer bleed. Others will no longer have their hands on my steering wheel. I will live my values. I will show kindness to others, and I will shine bright like a star in the sky. And anyone here who wants to shine with me, come on. There's room in the sky for all of us." March to the beat of your own drum. Accept yourself. Dare I say, love yourself? And share your gifts with others. Please, now more than ever, be you. Change the world. Mr. Contest.
Madam Timer, if we can please have 1 minute of silence for the judges. Please help me welcome Speaker 5, Kathy Romero. It's the end of the road. It's the end of the road, Kathy Romero.
When most people hear the phrase, "it's the end of the road," they picture failure, defeat, a place where homes, dreams, and hopes evaporate. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, what if I told you that the end of the road didn't have to be the end at all? What if it could be the beginning of something extraordinary? Because for me, the end of the road is a place where I go to recharge, to find myself, to find that balance in my life. I'm not talking metaphorically here. I'm talking about a real place, a real road. In fact, the road in front of my house, Dixie Mountain Road. Because 0.3 miles down this dusty, pitted, gravelly road is, you know it, it's the end of the road. There's a place there that is very special to me. Now, I don't own this piece of property at the end of the road. In fact, it's riddled with signs of no trespassing and warnings that tell visitors to keep out. But I know the owners of the property, and they've given me permission to travel there. It's a very special place. It sits at the trifecta of 3 different counties, Washington, Multnomah, and Columbia County. And at 1,500-foot elevation, it sits high above the clouds that often enshroud Portland, like today. Now, I drove past the end of the road for 10 years and didn't notice a thing until one day, there it was. Like a chrysalis that had transformed into a butterfly, what once was a small gravel parking lot with heavy wooded trees behind was now open land as far as the eye could see. I was astounded and confounded. And when I came to my senses, I remembered that there had been a lot of activity down at the end of the road, with people in hard hats running around with chainsaws and heavy equipment making terrible noises. They were logging the land. And while they were liberating the trees from the soil, they were leaving behind this wondrous view. I had to know what lay beyond that small gravel parking lot. And from that day forward, I visited the end of the road as often as I could. With each visit, the end of the road welcomed me like an old friend with open arms. And as I crossed that small gravel parking lot onto the logging road, immediately the valley explodes in front of me. And blanketing the hillside are hundreds, no, thousands of lupin flowers, each one with their tall, violet blue plume pointing to the sky. With the trees gone, they have the sun all to themselves, and the sun takes full advantage, treating the valley like a living watercolor, using dapples of sunlight to paint it over and over. It is amazing. And I'm never disappointed with this raw beauty right there in front of me. I always take a few minutes to look, commit it to memory before nodding to my lupins and heading on my way down that little logging trail. And after a couple minutes, I always feel like I'm not alone. And way over in the hillside, sure enough, nestled in the side is a friend, a familiar sight. It's tall and steadfast and strong and round. It's our Doppler radar. And it keeps watch over our valley day after day, season after season. It's seen the storms roll in and the valley get drenched in rain and buried in snow. It's seen that snow and rain evaporate and the lupin flowers sprout after a long winter's rest. It watches everything, and I feel comforted knowing that it's keeping an eye on our valley, as well as myself, as I travel in the valley and see what I can see. I nod to my Doppler friend and continue on my way up to the highest point at the end of the road. And when I get there, the view takes my breath away. Pictures do not do this justice, though I've tried time and time again. Now, my favorite time to visit is at dusk on a hot summer's day, when the warm wind winds its way up from the valley, bringing with it the promise of cooler weather. The tall grasses dance as the wind serenades them, and the sun, satisfied with a hard, hot day's work, slowly relinquishes control to evening with a promise to return anew. At this moment, my soul is alive, and I feel rejuvenated, and I feel a balance coming back in my life. This feeling is why I visit the end of the road over and over again. When life has me tied up in knots, I visit the end of the road to help me iron out those details and find that balance again that I so desperately want in my life. Where is your place of peace? Where do you go where the noise quiets, your soul stirs, and you find that balance again? That place that reminds you of who you are and what matters in your life. Go find that place. Stake it out and visit it as often as you can. You deserve that place to escape, to relax, to get rejuvenated. I found my place at the end of the road, which turned out to not be the end at all. In fact, it was the beginning of something extraordinary. Where will you travel to find your end of the road? Don't put it off. Don't delay. Your soul can't wait another day. Mr. Toastmaster.
Please help me welcome speaker number 7, Sharice Billington. Life as a Letter. Life as a Letter, Sharice Billington.
Thank you. You may have had one before. A letter or an unexpected package delivered on special occasion. One that really inspired you. But have you ever thought of your life as a letter? One written not with ink, but with the choices you make, the love you give, and the connections you nurture. Every letter is like an act of kindness that carries whispers of hope to someone else. This is a simple call for soup that ended up being a ripple of love written with the letters of our lives. This December Monday, it started off like any other. The quiet of the morning was crisp when I heard my phone play a familiar jingle. I looked down and behold, my favorite thing to read. Someone needs soup. I love to feed people, and my most requested dish is Italian wedding soup. I like to take my time with soup. It is a 2-day process of pouring love and attention over the aromatic ingredients and boiling the hell out of it. Therefore, it becomes divine comfort to the weary soul. And as I go to the store for the ingredients, I think, well, how would my friend make this more special? She gave me this magical mission. And as the soup started to simmer, it was as if the universe brought many more to this pot of soup. Altogether, 25 people were fed and comforted that day. It even crossed state lines. To my friend's astonishment, after a dodgy day of traveling in the country Turkey, her house host sent her a surprise of soup and bread. On her dinner plate that night, crackers and nuts from the road trip because she was too weary to find other food. And as she sits down at the table, looks up to say grace, what does she see? An angel hanging from the chandelier, a God wink of love's letter. Wings upon the waves of the universe had spread the magic of love that continues to ripple today. Delightful days are for soup. It's been many years since I made that initial pot of soup, but many more have been made since then. Like when I was invited to be a Christmas caroler, I sent word I'd be happy to bring some soup. Lasting amounts of love, laughter, and longing were present that evening. Love of thy neighbor as we sang for wanderers by, and laughter at the and often made up words to the familiar Christmas carols we think we know. And longing for more opportunities to live our lives as letters. This longing was slightly satiated for me in November. My girls are part of a youth internship, and each week a family is asked to bring the meal. And to my surprise, after offering pizza, chicken nuggets, even macaroni and cheese, refused. Those kids that have had my soup before demanded more soup. Who was I to become the soup Nazi and say, no soup for you? Not me. And as I arrived at the church with my girls, we had 3 different pots of soup, freshly baked baguettes, and these warm cookies that were homemade. It was amazing. We were so excited, and we get into the dining room, and the instructor is just awestruck. And I'm like, what is going on? And her eyes are brimming with tears over soup. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And she goes, thanks, Cherise, for bringing the soup. And I said, we don't get to eat around the table enough. No, Cherise. Her pale blue eyes now brimmed with tears. These kids who live in the apartments nearby, they don't have anyone
at home to feed them. It's not just that they are hungry, they're starved for connection. When we share a meal together, we live our lives as letters, a legacy of love. I returned later on that evening, and the atmosphere of the building felt like Christmas. It was the gift of receiving each other's lives as a letter. When we share our lives as letters, we never know who will read them or how far their words will travel. One simple act of kindness can fill a galaxy full of hope. Like my friend's letter I hold on to. It reads that my life matters, and it holds the words, bowls of love, inscribed to all who receive it. I offer you this bowl of love now, a magical mission. Your life can ripple across lives by simple acts of kindness. Your life is a letter worth writing, and your life is a letter worth giving. Mr. Chair.
Thank you.